Now that everything is up and running, without further ado, there's been enough time to give everybody who is interested to come in. Let's get started. So, hello everybody. My name is Dvorak. You might also know me as Storyteller from the community forums or other community places like Discord or Slack. I am one of the managers of Meteor Community Packages. I have just recently started my own company called Meteor Universe. And yeah, you can probably see me just around the community. I'm also the Impact Chairman. And you can reach me at hello@janvorak.me, or you can find me at Storyteller or Storyteller CZ on social media, usually with this picture over here. So this talk is in general was labeled as Ask Me Anything, but I said to kind of give it more of a theme. In my case, it's the user accounts. That's one of the core, say, core things for Meteor that makes it super easy to get quickly started with user-facing application. I'll be talking a little bit about the accounts core, then the OAuth packages, Passworless to FA, which is kind of the official section, and then I'll be talking about some of the extensions that are available to it and other packages that come in and allow you to extend or use the account system to extend even more functionality. And since we'll probably run through this very quickly, we will get into then the Ask Me Anything section. So accounts core, probably if you have done anything with user accounts or encountered it, and I'm separating this into what I would call the basics functionality user. So that's the meteor.user, meteor.user ID, which are going to get you either the current user object or the current user ID. Then there's the meteor.users, which gets you access to the users collection. Specifically, you can then, meteor.users, you can then manipulate it like you would any other collection. So you can do, .find, .find one, and all that stuff around it. And then we have, additional, let's say, variables like meteor.logging in or logging out, and a couple others, which give you more information about the state of the user. And these are usually implemented around the logging or logging out functionality if you want to show something special. Then, of course, there are the basic actions or the core actions like Meteor logout, which, as the name suggests, perform the logout on the user. And finally, we have some hooks. A couple here to mention is accounts on create user and validate new user. On create user is a hook once a user gets created, which allows you after the creation to get their ID and a couple other information, perform some action. For example, one of the packages I'll be mentioning later, Socialize, what it uses this hook to create a entry in the profiles collection. Another thing, what you can do there based on the information you have about the user provided during the registration, you can then perform additional action like, change the settings, default settings for the user. Validate new user is a hook that can become handy if you limit who can log in or who can create new accounts on your application. So you can then check and have some check if the user is supposed to be allowed to actually log in or create user or create new account on your application. There are a few more, and for that, I would refer you to docs to really check out the details on that. Okay, so that was kind of core, but that doesn't really allow you to, create new users and manage them, or for allow user to manage themselves to a greater extent. That's kind of where the basic, accounts password package comes in, which allows the user creation. And why we have this split is it's all about the logging method. So as the name suggests, with accounts passwords, it's the login method where the user enters their email, username, and password. In the next slide, I'll be talking about the auth packages, which they don't use password; they just use some other external service for validation that they are who they are. And we have a couple other methods as well. If you use Blaze, you also have some really nice UI templates available that you can drop in and have all the basic login flow and everything ready for you. Don't have to write your own. The only thing that you can do is change the CSS if you are so inclined. So as I mentioned, it handles user creation, managing their emails, including email verification, emailing them for things like password change and resets. Another thing is user enrollment, which comes in super useful. For example, if you are inviting users to join, so you create as an admin account for a user, and through this user enrollment process, you send them an email, hey, I have created a account for you, come and join us. And then the user clicks in the email on the link, enters their password, and they have no access fully to their account. And last thing that accounts password manages is also usernames. So that was very quick overview of the accounts password. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you have any questions, feel free to write into the Zoom chat or chat on the Impact website. I'll be monitoring those and making sure I answer any question. In the poll section on the Impact website, there's also enter a question for the speaker poll, and that I'll be checking that at the end when we get to Ask Me Anything section, and there you can ask anything you want. So next big section of the accounts packages is the OAuth packages, as I call them. These are packages that allow you to integrate logging with external services, and the official one are Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, Google, Meetup, and Meteor developer accounts. And then on the front end, just call Meteor logging with, and the name of the service. So for example, Meteor logging with Facebook. And if you will have to set up, of course, all the credentials with Facebook and get their OAuth keys. So check out the documentation for that, how to do it properly. You can also do it via settings JSON. That's one of the latest things that we have added. But once you have all that set up for the user, they click a button. It will pop up a window that goes to the, for example, in this case, Facebook services. Where they either log in or confirm that they want to log in into your website. Once they get through that, it will come back to your application, and it will create a user account for them or log in into their existing account. You will find many more packages around this flow on Atmosphere as well. So for example, for LinkedIn, let's see another good example, Line, Microsoft accounts, and so on. One big thing, to notice here, sometimes people kind of get confused, is that this is just like, one-to-one. So once you have an account with a login to Facebook, only that account can have the login to Facebook and no other account can have it. Another problem with that also is that then you cannot add additional services to the specific account. but there's a package which I'll talk about later that gets a little bit around that. So now, one of the newest addition that we have to the account system in Meteor is something called Passworless. It's a replacement for account password, or to be used alongside it. Usually, if you have accounts password already, then you keep it and you can just add this to it. Why I say replacement is because it also does the same, has the same functionality that accounts password has, but instead of user entering their password, they get a code on their email, and they then enter the code in the application to log in. So that's kind of the big difference, but at the same time, that's why I'd say this replacement, because it's still underneath it. It has still a lot of the same functionality, like create user function and all that stuff. So you can either have that or passwords, or both. Now, in addition to all of the function that we mentioned before, or different approaches, there's also two-factor or second-factor authentication package that you can add that comes to FA. And that one generates a QR code for validation application. So you might have probably seen this, on your mobile phone, you get an authenticator application like Google Authenticator. You then scan the QR code, and then that will generate you a 6-digit code that refreshes constantly. That's something that the user will then have to add in addition to enter the account. For you as developers, what that means is that you have to, actually, if the users, for example, with passwords, if they try to log in, you will get back an error. It's a very specific error, so you catch that error, and then you start the flow for the second factor authentication. So it's a little bit more that you have to do, but it really increases the security of your accounts, and I highly recommend, if you have the time to implement it, probably for hackathon. Not something that you have to worry about, but whenever you go after that, it is definitely, I would say, given especially the current security issues on the web, something that should be a basic thing to have. In the future, we are also planning to implement additional or create new packages. It's on my to-do list to do sometime in the future with, you might have also seen these hardware keys, and that's where user registers on your application a hardware key that they have, like YubiKey, and then they just tap the key when they are prompted by your application login. We don't have that yet, but that's something to keep an eye out in the future, because that's coming. Now, very quickly about some of the extensions. There is a lot of extensions to not just of course the users themselves, but most common you will see a lot of OAuth services, as I mentioned already, like LinkedIn, Microsoft accounts, and similar. Also, I mentioned already the Bozhao link accounts, and this is a package that allows you to, once the user is logged in, to link with additional third-party services. So, for example, how that might look like is, the user logs in, then goes into settings, and then see, that they have already, they are logging in with Facebook, so that's already there. But they can see they can also link their account with Twitter, LinkedIn, and whatever. They click an account, and thanks to this link accounts package, it will then let them go through the OAuth process. But instead of default Meteor behavior of creating a new account, since the user is already logged in, it will add those credentials to the user collection. So then next time, if the user has, Facebook, Twitter linked to one account, if they click and log in with their Twitter, it will get them into their account. Same thing with their Facebook. But then if they have, for example, a GitHub account that they have not linked with their account and try to log in, it will instead create a new account. So that's something to be, worry about and make sure that users don't do that. So sometimes I've seen that people kind of want to make it easy on their users, and they want, if it's the same email, that it should still log them in to their existing account. I would like to very strongly warn you against building such a functionality, because that's a huge security hole. Because what if somebody got access to their email, or hack their email, created account on GitHub with that email, and then this way they can get access to your service. So never, unless it's the user has already linked that service with your with the account, never allow them to have like any, could say, lookup functionality and try to guess match it, because you're just opening yourself to a world of hurt. All right, another quick package, or packages in this case, that I want to mention, and best to probably show you, are the socialize packages. This is, I would say, prime example of doing very nice extension of or building on top of the account system, because these packages are pretty much made to allow you to quickly or more quickly build social functionality for your application. So you can see here, packages like commentable, feed, user profile, user blocking, votable, postable. So all the, so you can build, user feeds, comments to anything on your website, or messaging, and, liking buttons, all that stuff very quickly. Pretty much once you get these packages, and the only thing that you have to build is the UI, because that's the only thing that these packages do not provide, because we don't know which UI are using: React, Angular, Vue, Liquid, or is it Solid, whichever front end package you are using. It's we don't know, sadly. So at least as far as I've seen, there's no official or any other packages that make it super easy to do. But if you look in the history, you will find Blaze templates available. So at least for Blaze, you can very quickly get the functionality. But even though this is mostly focuses on the database and the server side, there's also extension for the front end, which allow you to quickly call, say, post.like. If you have everything set up properly, then it will do the like, to add the like to that particular post, and so on. So this is one of the, let's say, prime examples of extensions of or building on top of the user account system with packages. Another extension to mention here, or a couple of them, would be things like my Web3 login. This is similar, in the vein of, say, the OAuth packages and login packages. The difference thing here is it's with Web3. So it's not something that required a little bit more working around. And as you can see, it's still in the alpha stages, version 0.3. But it's it's usable. It works. So if you have any needs or want to build something related to Web3, this is a package you want to get and use. And then similar to the socialized packages, another package I built is called legal management. And that's, actually connected, make sure that, you have terms of service, privacy agreement, all of that stuff. And, they need to update that. So this package allows you to kind of keep track of who agreed to what, when, and keep your legal terms, all of that stuff together and working as well. So that's one of the other many packages that build on top using or very closely dependent to the user's package. And you will find many more packages on Atmosphere that are tied to the users. So before you start building some functionality, especially if that functionality is very common, like in the case with socialized packages, building a comment system or liking system and stuff like that, check Atmosphere, because it's very likely that you will already find packages that are built and ready to go there, so it can save you a lot of time developing. So with that very quickly done, we still have half an hour to ask anything. I just wanted to get the information about accounts and stuff related to that out there, to kind of give you more information of how to, where to look for certain packages and what is actually available there. Generally, what I always tell people is that Atmosphere is for Meteor specific packages, or packages that really utilize the power of Meteor. And in this case that I've shown here, at least for me, the main thing is utilizing the power of Meteor with the account system. And that is not, compared especially like to NPM packages, which are, I would say, more of a general purpose packages. So that is that. I just remind everybody that I'm monitoring both the chat in Zoom, so unless that's frozen on me, I should see everything. And also, if you write anything on the Impact website in the poll section or the chat, so feel free to write whenever, or if you want, so we can also make this easier. You can raise, you can use the function to raise hand, and I can then allow you to talk, so you don't even have to type. You can just come in and ask me anything. So feel free to, as I said, write in the chat anywhere, or raise a hand. Question can be anything Meteor related. If you have any issues with anything developing or just need some pointers. Is there a package to help with building maps? So for a package like that, I would probably miss this, but as I said, Atmosphere is for packages that are usually tied into Meteor systems like accounts, or for package help with building maps. Let's see, can you specify, do you want to build maps like related to finding stuff by location, or is it and then showing it, say, like on a map from Google Maps, or is it like you have like an image and then you want to add something on top of it? Because for both of it, there are approaches, or actually two things to to kind of learn about. If you search for and with latitude, longitude on a map. So for that, look up the geolocation on atmosphere. Let me just send you the link. So this is kind of where I'll start kind of like, from the beginning and then take you from the other places. So geolocation is more of a mobile package, but it can also be on the web. I recently did a refresh on it earlier this year. And what it does, it gets the user's current location, so latitude, longitude, all of that. So I'm putting that on a map. First of all, MongoDB has functionality to search, for latitude, longitude locations. So that might be something to utilize, but to putting it specifically on a map, if you are using stuff like, say Google Maps or OpenStreetMap, I'll quickly find you. It's really simple. You actually add it into the link that you sent with the request to the map. So, and I did also a example how that works with the geolocation in chat as well. There's a very quick example. Oops, the link didn't get fully through, but there's an example how to do that. So it's usually very, simply just add it into the link of the provider of the map, and then it usually displays like a point or how we define it. So there isn't like really specifically a package, but you might also want to check on npm if there's something more specific, or if you want to give me more information about what you're exactly trying to build, I might be able to point you a bit better. Okay, so I'll allow you to speak, Ahmed. So you should be able to. Okay, there we go. Let me check if my.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello?
hello. Yes, I can hear you. Sweet.
How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Thanks. I'm fine, thanks. What I want to build is I want to specify a location for example, an event, and I want to put it in a map. So I want to show a map where a specific event will be held, for example. I was thinking if there are a package ready to use to get this functionality. So I'll need two things. I'll need first to specify the location. So maybe the user will have to type an address, and then I'll need to turn this address to lat long coordinations, and I need to put it later on a map.
So this one is a tough one because dealing with geolocation data, there are pretty much only two names in town that deal with this, which is the OpenStreetMap and of course then the Google Maps. Those are the big two, could say companies or kahunas in the town, and everything else is built, for big corporations. Facebook definitely has some of their own, but usually what this means, you actually have to build it with their API. So you have to, if you go with Google, you have to get into their Google Maps API, and then from that, I think even with Google Maps, you should be able to just put in the address and it should be able to find it. And then but it can also then give you the latitude, longitude data as well for that given address. There might be some other services, but I don't think there is any package, because this requires pretty much to have databases of all the addresses and where they are, and if it doesn't know exactly, then how to calculate approximately where it is. So I would be very surprised if there would be like any package that does more than just is like SDK to connect to some service. So that's how you will have to approach it. Connect to one of the services that either work with OpenStreetMaps, or probably the easiest and most straightforward is Google Maps, and use their API to send in the address, get back the latitude, longitude, and then once you have that, you put that. MongoDB has a format for that, so you put that location, with the latitude, longitude information in. And what you can then actually do with MongoDB is, search based on coordinates. So you can, and this is, for example, where the geolocation package can become very useful, especially like for mobile. And you can, be like, if you're on mobile, you can go, get the current location of the user, and with MongoDB, you can then have, there's the geolocation search. So you put in the current location of the user, and then you specify you want to see all the events in radius of 25 miles. And based on the location, it's able to find those events pretty well. So that's how you would have to approach it. Sadly, no shortcuts there.
Thanks so much. That's helpful. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Do you have any more questions since we have you already here?
Well, I was planning to add the comments and socializing, so I haven't used the socialize package before, but I will try it because it will be helpful for me.
Yes, I would definitely recommend that. It's it's pretty much just put that in, and then you don't have to worry about creating collection, data structures, and everything else. Another good thing about it is that all these socialized packages come prepared with scalability, so they have already stuff for Redis uplog. So later on, if it takes off, you can then add Redis uplog, and at least that part is going to be ready to scale. And as I said, the only thing that you have to worry about is to create a form to actually add the comments, but that's relatively easy and quick compared to actually having to build all of that from scratch.
All right, thanks for that. Thanks for this information.
So a question from Rowan. I used Meteor way back in 2015. I'm thinking to use it again. Where can I start to refresh my knowledge about it? Well, since you visited in 2015, you should have already pretty good knowledge about it. But if you want to really, just to be sure, I would go to the Meteor University and go through the existing courses. That should give you a very quick, especially with you should probably breeze right through it, or just kind of remind yourself of some of the basics. So that's a good, yes, Meteor University is for free. So I would say that's a very good place to start. Another place to kind of visit also then specifically based on what you want to do are the Meteor examples. And in there, you can look on the different examples that kind of align more towards what the direction you want to go. And you can then look, for example, how it's built, what packages are used, and kind of take it from there. So that's kind of how I would approach it. So another good thing is the documentation and the guide is that's all up to date. So at least till 2.8 comes out, there shouldn't be any issues with that. And 2.8 is a different beast, but that's something probably for another talk. Especially since this is primarily for hackathon, I don't think there is any need to go into that because that is in the future. Sweet. We have Simon has joined us. Hi, Simon. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. The structure is simple. Write your question in the chat on the Impact website or on the Zoom chat, or you can raise your hand. There's an icon for that. Should be at the bottom of the Zoom window. And then I'll allow you to speak, so you don't have to type anything. You can just, connect and speak to me directly. And we are in the Ask Me Anything section. So anything related to, Meteor, you're looking for packages or for, have a question about, say, collections or accounts, anything that is related to Meteor, I'm happy to answer. Or doesn't have to be technical. It can be, about the history of Meteor and all of that fun stuff. And Rowan, since you use crypto for your last name, I am also going to paste a package I built for Web3 login, which I hope you will find useful. So from Ahmed, a question about routing. The routing system in Next.js, if Meteor can have a similar thing. Meteor doesn't have a built-in router, and that's because we don't know what frontend are you using. There is, in the past, there has been, the first big router was Iron router, then there was the Flow router. That still is continued today, and that one can handle React, Blaze, and maybe a few more. But usually, at least how I do it, for React I use React router, and in other front ends people use the usual routers. The difference from the Next.js router is that React router is declarative, so you need to declare all the paths and to which components they lead by yourself. So at least if you are kind of used to how Next.js does their thing, that might seem a bit tedious, but it's just a bit different structure and way of how to do things. All right, so we have 10 minutes remaining in this. So again, feel free to write any question, raise your hands, especially if that question is a bit longer than, say, one sentence, and it's faster to just raise your hands and I'll allow you to speak and we can chat more about it. To kind of expand also on the router question, again, you will be looking up for a router specific to your frontend. So for React, there is React router and probably some more. And I know the other frontends have their own specific ways of how to do routes and routing. Usually there's multiple options to do. So Simon, my question is, the Meteor course on Coursera.org was good with examples of how to use the packages, but most packages are not working. Can something be done like that with a video on how to use the packages? So you will have to, and this goes for NPM or Atmosphere, you always have to vet the packages that you use. You have to check that they are maintaining everything. Meteor had kind of like the first boom around 2015, 2016, where a lot of packages were built, especially before version 1.3, where it was only Blaze frontend. It was tightly tied to the Blaze frontend. So might run into issues with the old packages a lot. And, with, if something can be done on how to use, packages, usually it's, you have to kind of check their documentation. And I will write it down. I'm not sure if or when I will be able to get to it, but I'll definitely suggest that to other Meteor ambassadors, and I will be looking into probably doing some walkthroughs on some packages as well. But beyond that, unless you have a specific package in mind, I won't be sadly able to comment on that. Okay, Simon, is there any specific package that you wanted to use or it wasn't working? One thing that I'll show you is on we've kind of run into this problem with some packages, especially some of the older ones are not being maintained. And let me share my screen again. Okay, so what we have done is created an organization called Meteor Community Packages. It's a organization on GitHub. You will also probably see us or people from it around the forums and elsewhere. And what we do here is we take over packages that were very well used through the community, and me and other people here either develop them, or if or we make sure that if pull request comes with fixes or new features, that we merge them and release them so that these packages can be maintained and continue under the same namespace. One thing that you will notice with packages that all of them have a namespace. So if you search, for example, let's see if this will work. So we have user presence here multiple times, user status. So sometimes what happens is you will have to look a bit more around, look at the original package, and then you will have to go on Atmosphere, search for the package name, but without the namespace. So that's usually either socialize, Ostrio, kind of before kind of either the username or organization name, and you will just have to look for other packages that are published but in a different namespace. And then you will have to, best thing is to go to their GitHub, see if they are fork of the original one, see if they are like, say, 5 commits or how many ahead, which will then give you indicator that that some of the issues that were there were fixed. That sometimes happens is that people for the package fix the issue that's prevented it from working in the new version of Meteor, publish it under their namespace, because of course they cannot publish it under the previous user who own it and who is no longer active. So that's kind of how the packages survive. And then unless it's some big change, you can actually, the only thing you change is the namespace in your imports, and you are done with that. Another option, and there's going to be a talk about that during impacts, but I think right now during hackathon, that's not something you have to worry about, is that you can also fork kind of packages locally under, you just copy the code into packages folder, and that will then override your local version will overwrite any other version of the package. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
I hope good luck on your hackathon, and I hope to see you at Impact in about 2 weeks. Okay, so goodbye.